The wind that evening moved strangely across the abandoned cliffs of Raventon. Birds refused to fly over that place, and even the sea seemed to retreat from the jagged rocks as if it feared the land itself. People rarely visited the ruins that stood there, but on this particular night, a young anthropologist named Marian Hale felt a pull she couldn't explain. Something in the cold air whispered to her, urging her forward. For years, Marian had researched ancient exiles, beings banished from their realms for crimes too great or too monstrous to be contained. Legends around the world spoke of entities that once roamed freely among humans, feeding on emotion, memory, and weakness. Scholars dismissed the stories as myth. But Marian had something they didn't, a journal written by her great-grandmother, detailing a creature only referred to as the Exiled One. Her ancestors had lived near Raventon over a century ago, when the town was still thriving. According to the journal, villagers once worshipped a godlike figure who blessed them with prosperity, but demanded sacrifices in return. When the villagers rebelled, the creature was cast into a hidden dimension. Its devotees vanished one by one, leaving behind nothing but hollow homes and empty cradles. The final entry in the journal warned that the exile was temporary. When the gate opens again, the last line read, "The Exiled One will return to claim what was taken from him." Marian didn't believe in curses, but she believed in patterns. Too many unexplained disappearances had happened around Raventon lately. Hikers, tourists, even police officers. Their last known locations always pointed to the cliffs. Tonight, Marian wanted answers. As she walked toward the ruins, her flashlight flickered in the wind. Raventon had been abandoned for decades, but the stone pillars still stood in a circle like broken teeth around an ancient mouth. Marian had seen pictures, but standing here felt different. The air vibrated faintly, like a humming you could feel more than hear. She traced her fingers along the carvings on the stone. Spirals, eyes, and twisting limbs formed disturbing patterns that seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them. Beneath one symbol, a bleeding sun, she found a narrow passage descending into the earth. Her breath caught. This wasn't on any map. With trembling hands, she lifted her flashlight and stepped inside. Cold air rushed up, smelling of iron and something older. The deeper she went, the louder the humming became. It wasn't mechanical. It sounded organic, like breathing. At the bottom of the passage lay a massive stone archway, glowing faintly with a sickening blue light. Symbols pulsed along its edges like veins. In the center of the arch hovered a thin, wavering sheet of darkness, rippling as though alive. Her great-grandmother's journal had warned of the gate. This had to be it. Marian reached out, compelled by something she couldn't name. As her fingertips grazed the surface of the darkness, it wavered like water, and a whisper echoed through the chamber. A voice so cold it felt like needles under her skin. "You carried her blood." Marian froze. "Who's there?" The darkness shivered and then split open like a slit pupil widening. From within the void, a tall, twisted figure slowly emerged. Its limbs were unnaturally long, its skin gray and stretched tight across bones that didn't look human. Its head was featureless except for a mouth that ran too wide, filled with jagged teeth that clicked softly like chattering insects. "You open the way," it hissed. Marian stumbled backward, nearly dropping her flashlight. "Stay back." Its jaw cracked downward, its voice scraping like metal on stone. "I have waited generations." Suddenly, everything made horrifying sense. The Exiled One hadn't returned by accident. The gate needed Hale blood, her blood. Her great-grandmother hadn't merely recorded history. She had been part of the ritual that sealed the creature away. And now Marian had undone it. She turned to flee, but the creature's body stretched across the chamber like liquid shadow, blocking the exit. Its fingers elongated, claws clicking against stone as it moved closer. "You freed me, little heir," it whispered. "And now your world will feed me." Marian grabbed a loose rock and swung with all her strength. The Exiled One barely flinched. It wrapped a clawed hand around her throat, lifting her off the ground. Spots danced in her vision as she struggled to breathe. Just as the creature was about to crush her windpipe, her hand brushed something in her jacket, her great-grandmother's journal. She fumbled it free and slammed it into the creature's face. The moment the pages touched its skin, the Exiled One shrieked, dropping her. Its form contorted violently, smoke rising where the book had burned it. Coughing, Marian scrambled to her feet. The journal wasn't just a record. It was a sealed artifact. Its ink, its pages, its binding, everything had been crafted using rituals she couldn't begin to understand. But they still had power. She opened the book with trembling fingers. The last page, one she had never been able to read fully before, was now glowing. Words she didn't remember, seeing, arranged themselves into a chant. A counter-ritual. The Exiled One lunged, but Marian began reading aloud. Her voice shook, but the chamber trembled with every word. The archway behind the creature pulsed violently, pulling at its body like a hungry vortex. "No," it screamed, its limbs stretching unnaturally as the gate began to drag it in. "You cannot bind me again." Marian kept reading, tears streaming down her face. The creature clawed at the ground, carving deep trenches, but the pull grew stronger. Its scream split into multiple voices, men, women, children, echoing all at once. The souls it had devoured, the lives it had stolen. With a final, devastating roar, the Exiled One was sucked back into the void. The archway snapped shut with a thunderous crack that shook dust from the ceiling. Silence followed. Heavy, absolute silence. Marian collapsed to her knees, the journal falling from her hands. She had done it. She had saved her world. Or so she thought. As she crawled forward to pick up the book, she noticed something horrifying. The symbols on the archway were still glowing. The exile ritual in the journal wasn't permanent. It was a lock that needed a guardian's blood to remain sealed. Her great-grandmother had been the last guardian. And now, with Marian awakening the gateway, the responsibility had passed to her. She stumbled to her feet, backing away as the reality hit her. She couldn't leave. If she did, the gate would open again. The Exiled One would return stronger, hungrier, unstoppable. A soft whisper echoed through the chamber. "Stay, keeper." Her breath caught. She wasn't alone. The souls trapped on the other side were still whispering through the cracks, their voices begging, pleading, warning. And somewhere deep in the darkness, the Exiled One whispered her name, over and over. Marian's flashlight flickered and died, leaving her standing in pitch blackness with only the faint glow of the archway lighting her terrified face. She picked up the journal and clutched it to her chest. The world above would never know what happened tonight. They would never know that Marian Hale had sacrificed her freedom, maybe even her life, to ensure humanity remained safe. She was now the last barrier between her world and a monster older than civilization. As she stepped toward the archway, placing her hand on the stone, a spark of warm light spread from her palm. The gate's glow dimmed, stabilizing. The humming faded. But the Exiled One's final whisper crawled into her mind like a cold finger sliding down her spine. "I will wait, little heir. No exile lasts forever." And somewhere deep below the ruins of Raventon, surrounded by ancient stone and endless darkness, Marian Hale began her lonely vigil, forever guarding the world from the Exiled One, hoping she could hold the gate closed long enough before the seal broke again.